everyone, welcome back. My name is Dr. Amna Husain, board certified pediatrician, board certified lactation consultant, and mom. Today we're going to talk about common parenting myths, things that I've not only heard, but I'll be honest, things that I used to believe before having a child myself. Some of these are things that I find myself still falling into, and it's a thought process that I need to catch myself in to really stop, but we'll talk about how being a parent has made me a better pediatrician. So I'm going to try to hit on these from a couple of different angles, not just the perspective of one parent. But one of the most common myths that I often hear from friends even, not necessarily patients, is having a baby will bring us closer together. I wish I could say that was the case, but it might be the case a few years down the line, maybe even a few months down the line, but I'll be really honest that when you have that newborn acutely in front of you, and although they're adorable and they need you, also very unpredictable. It's also very different to be pregnant and have baby, growing within you and really getting a chance to feel the kicks versus having baby outside of you and constantly needing to be fed, changed, rocked to sleep, crying, trying to figure out schedules, how you're going to go back to your normal life, or just being able to go to the grocery store. You will have a short fuse. You might feel overwhelmed. We might end up inevitably taking it out on our partners. And that's not fair. It's not fair, and it's unfortunately what happens. But we need to talk about things early on. And so thinking that a baby is just going to bring you closer together as a couple, well, I don't think that's really a solution. Any marriage counselor or therapist will tell a couple, if you're looking at a baby as a potential solution to a marriage that has issues, that's not really helpful. While a baby does add more love, a baby does add more stress as well. And that stress can impact two people in very different ways. And it might actually lead to more fighting, more blaming, especially if you don't have a strong foundation to start. So I gotta say that this myth needs to be out there and more prevalent and well known to all young couples or couples that are looking to expand their family. On that, myth number 2, that traditionally both parents are going to share equally in the housework and childcare. That's not the case. It really can't be the case because this is a team-based approach. There's going to be definitely days where you might be doing more and your significant other might not be able to help you as much. Perhaps they're coming home late from work, perhaps they're feeling under the weather, or maybe if you're here within COVID and trying to do business from home, maybe they have a Zoom call scheduled. And that's where teamwork really comes into play. And I find that personally for me, I find that I will sometimes start keeping tally in my head, and it's so not useful at all. We should just appreciate whatever help we can get, but also be very vocal about what help we need. Please don't expect your partner to read your mind. Be vocal about what you need help with. And if that individual can help you maybe right then or every night of the week, then we need to have a system in place, right? So you'll be the one who takes out the trash after dinner, but I'll be the one who cleans dishes. Or somebody will, for example, in my home, I make dinner and sort of my husband's fallen into the routine of doing the dishes afterward. Now, if I don't like the way he does the dishes, that's on me, and I have to let him know that. But I can't really passively sort of keep track or tally of what he does and what he doesn't do, and if he doesn't do it up to my standing, because that'll just create more tension. Another myth I commonly hear is that parenting is just going to come naturally, or that you'll feel a bond immediately with your child, or maybe even that parents aren't allowed to feel down or anxious or depressed ever about having children. We all know that our children are the light of our lives. We would do anything for them, but they can also really stress us out and really overwhelm us. They are life-changing. There's definitely moments where I realize that this second pregnancy that I'm going through is much harder than my first pregnancy, and it's simply because I have a toddler that sort of needs my attention. I might be feeling really tired and all I want to do is put up my feet or rest, and I can't because we have to dance to a Moana song. And even if you try to dance, nope, you gotta really just get all into it and really put your all in and be able to play with them. And I realize at the end of the day that it's a lot. It can be really overwhelming, and it's okay to love your child but still really miss that life you had before you had children. We will go through phases inevitably in life, and parenthood is one of them, and it evolves as we go along in our journey. So even if you meet your baby for the first time and you don't have a bond immediately, there's nothing wrong with you. Sometimes bonds take some time to develop. For example, for a father, they may not really feel that bond until the baby becomes more social, closer to 2 months of age, really, when the baby begins to smile at him and he feels like, wow, I'm actually bonding with this baby, versus mom who's had a 10-month head start while baby was growing within her, but also maybe gets to bond with the baby a little bit more through breastfeeding. So I think that trying to at least acknowledge that parenting's not going to come naturally, this bond's not going to develop immediately overnight, and also realize that it's okay to lament and miss and feel sad for your old life or how you felt before you had kids is totally normal. Again, if you're feeling these feelings frequently or constantly, it's definitely worth seeking some mental health help so you can talk through these emotions and also learn positive tactics that can help you through these times if you do feel overwhelmed. Speaking of, next myth, a parent is selfish if they put their own needs before their child. This one's tricky because if you do decide to raise a child, you are agreeing to be their parent. You are essentially putting their health and well-being into your hands. But that doesn't mean you have to put it at the expense of your own mental health. And in fact, that can be detrimental because it can actually be worse for a child if they're around a parent that's anxious, depressed, or overwhelmed to the point that it impacts the way they function daily in their lives and even as a parent. Think about on an airplane where we always talk about, please put your oxygen mask on first before you put an oxygen mask on your child. Of course, we always want to do everything we can for our child. We're not saying that we're trying to save ourselves before we save our child in that situation, but you can't really be there to save your child if you're not taking care of yourself as well. Does that make sense? Also, you are modeling for your child self-compassion and self-care, which is incredibly important. And I talk about this when we discuss meditation for parents and its importance, and I'll link that video here. But please remember that there's definitely going to be times that you actually need to back away and maybe do something for yourself, and you shouldn't feel guilty about that at all. And it actually might help you be a more resilient and positive parent for your child. On that note, another myth I commonly hear is, as a parent, you should know what to do. This couldn't be further from the truth. A parent is born when the baby is born, and you might think that you're going to model your parenting style after your parents, but maybe that's not the case. Maybe you'll take and pick and choose a little bit, and maybe some of your parenting style is going to be impacted by your partner and what your partner brings to the table as a parent. Definitely, there's a reason why everybody has a different style of parenting. But you don't have to think that you must know everything right off the bat. You will definitely find your strengths along the way as a parent and work to cultivate and enhance them. But know that it's not always going to be easy every step of the way, and your child's not going to respond calmly and reasonably to logic. Maybe when they're older, in their 20s, when we always hear that people think back to their parents and say, they were right. But those first 20 years of life, you're going to have a tough time, and you're going to struggle through this as well. It's totally okay to not know everything off the bat. You can turn to other resources. For example, your pediatrician can even help with some parenting situations. Mommy support groups can be really helpful for some parenting situations. Even your own parents, you can definitely ask them about certain situations, but I always feel like my parents seem to forget the fuzzy details around something that was tough, like potty training, for example. I remember asking my mom, who is a pediatrician, how she went about it. And I don't really think I got a great answer. I don't know if it was just something she blocked out or she just doesn't even remember anymore because it's been so long. But just know that it's very normal to feel like you don't know what you're doing. That's all I have for you guys this week. Let me know what parenting myths you've heard of below in the comments. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe as we're trying to grow this channel. Make sure you tune back in next Monday as well for any new videos. Bye.